I'm Léan Boezaart. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Freedom of Movement. So I'm firstborn, obviously I have three younger brothers. I was, in most cases, the guinea pig, obviously testing some boundaries here or there. Our dad then implemented a house rule that he called freedom of movement. Basically meant that if you took care of your own responsibilities, your own academic performance was up to scratch, you had freedom of movement. My brother Ruel always had an interest in clothes and fashion and whatnot, so dabbled around with some t-shirts and hoodies. So in 2013 started the business, got a small room at the University of Stellenbosch. So came up with a one-liner that really defined our purpose and sort of we used it as a bit of a guiding light in every decision we made since. So we wanted to build a South African lifestyle brand. So we bought a leather machine, got a craftsman from the Eastern Cape who knew how to make a leather bag, moved his whole family to Stellenbosch, sat him down and made our first leather bag. It took a few weeks. So I mean, it's a very organic startup story in a small room. Eventually had one bag. One of our friends who felt sorry enough for us to bought it. One bag became 5 bags, and that's where the story started. I'd say the first store was a big leap of faith, a big one that we'd always remember as a key moment in Freedom of Movement's journey. It was in Menlo Park in Pretoria. We've got 28 stores in South Africa now. Every single store is a bit of a milestone to us. In 2016, when we launched our valley, was sort of where things started to accelerate a bit. South African felt schoon is sort of a part of the South African heritage. Customers connected to it quite quickly. Obviously, very fortunate at that point to also become friends with Sia Kolisi, who volunteered to be in the launch video. Sia, a very inspirational figure. We wanted to use our business as a force for good. We did a valley together, used the proceeds to build a rugby field, as sort of a first step into using our business as a force for good, but tangible force for good, not something we just talk about. It's becoming friends with Sia, doing meaningful things together. So Sia has sort of become a global icon and a very inspirational figure to us as a brand. Valley is still a key pillar stone in our business. We've got some aspirations this year that we've been working on for the past 2 years to really firm our footing in the international landscape as what we're going to call the best valley in the world. So, South African shoe of unity. I think that's what we want to use it for. And then, all the different moves into categories that we're really competing in now in the lifestyle sneaker space. No real South African brand has really pulled that off. We're obviously competing against the Nikes and Adidas and Hokas and Ons of the world, so very competitive space, but I think if a South African brand can do it, we can do it. So we're playing as hard as we can in that space, so also a big milestone. Obviously growing the business quite quickly. We had to move to bigger spaces almost every second year. So about 1.5 years ago now, moved into this space. It's a big facility, gives us a bit of a longer term view to facilitate and support our growth as a business and build a bit of a team and a culture in a space that can be conducive to success. So I think 1.5 years ago, moving into this space, also a big milestone in our journey. And then sort of internationally launching the business in the UK. We don't really have physical retail there yet, but purely e-com, but the business is based, we've got a warehouse, a DC facility there, with our big aspirations to grow the brand globally. A South African brand that can represent South Africa on a global stage is eventually where we want to take this. I think it's important if you have an idea of there's something you want to do and you feel like there's a proper purpose and meaning behind it and you really want to do it for the right reasons, but you haven't really figured it out yet, you haven't done a fully fledged business plan or mapped out the next 5 years of a potential business, that's okay. But I think it's to take that first step, take that plunge, start with the thing. I think that's the first lesson, is that if we really thought long and hard about this, we probably never would have started Freedom of Movement. Secondly, approach it with an optimistic mindset. I think the ones that really succeed are the ones that can see the good and not necessarily what can go wrong. And it's something you can teach yourself. I think that's super important, because otherwise you're always going to see the challenges or what's not going to support you to do what you want to do. So it's important to have that sort of optimistic outlook as a very important base of whatever it is that you want to do. So, people often ask me, if you only did your degree and then didn't waste another 4 years, where could this business have been, or whatever. But I think it's a very important skill set that you learn along the way. A couple of things there. One, learning some analytical skills is a very important thing in our business, but it really gives you a lot of confidence understanding numbers. Over and above all of that, I think the soft skills that you learn during your articles, being put in positions where you really don't know what you're doing, but you've got to figure it out quite quickly. Especially now in my role, this is effectively a people business. At least what I want to get out of this is that CEOs are probably the best equipped to start any business, but they're the ones that probably won't. This is just a sad thing. If you think about it, you've got all these amazing individuals out there, but very few really start businesses, and that's sad. And we need to change that, because I think they are super well equipped to make a success out of any business in any industry, really. So family and support structure, I think, is a super important part of anyone's career, really. I think to me, the role my wife plays on a daily basis, trying to keep me in check, giving me nice perspective, especially now that I have 3 kids, 3 beautiful girls. Whenever life could feel a little bit overwhelming, there's a lot going on. Naturally, with a growing business, there's a lot of pressure. But just seeing, going home to a support base where the most important thing is just love, and it's a super easy thing to just get right. It's just to love your kids and love your wife. I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for my family, and that's also super important.